Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Adha Barakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Sya Om Jnana Timaranda Shyagyana Shalakaya Chakshunun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Guraganara Sesha Sambhusitam Chindya Chindya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govindabhidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwa Guruncha Divyat Bhagavad Prem Noi Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchanda Varanam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhantanidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyasishwara Sridharam Vanchakopatarubhyasya Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute. And this is chapter 3, Karma Yoga, the path of action. And we're on verse number 11. Devan bhavaya thanena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayanta shreyaparam avapsyata devan bhavayat yatanena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayanta shreyaparam avapsyata. Propitiate the gods by sacrifices, and may they satisfy you by bestowing your desired fruits. In this way, through mutual nourishment, you will be the gainer. You will be the gainer of great auspiciousness. Ishtan Bhogan Ivo Deva Dashante Yagya Bhavita Tardatan Apradayabhyo Yo Bhunkte Stena Eva Saha. Propitiated by sacrifices, the gods, my worldly representatives, will bestow upon you all your desired enjoyable things. But one who enjoys what is given by the gods without offering it to them is a thief. Yagya shishtasina santo muchante sarvakil bishai bunjate te tvagam papa ye pachanti atma karanat. Yagya shishtasina santo muchante sarvakil bishai bunjate te tvagam papa ye pachanti atmakaranat. By accepting sacrificial remnants of the universal gods, virtuous persons are liberated from all sins arising from violence towards other living entities. But those who prepare food for their own pleasure partake only of sin. The remnants referred to here are not the same as the Krishna Prasad, food that has been offered to the Supreme Lord by his devotees. Anad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anasambhava yagyad bhavati parjanyo yagya karma samudbhava. The living beings' bodies are manifest from food. Food is manifest due to rain. Rainfall ensues from the performance of sacrifice, and action is the cause of sacrifice. The living beings' bodies are manifested from food. Food is manifested due to rain. Rainfall ensues from the performance of sacrifice, and action is the cause of sacrifice. So these verses are dealing with the offering of different sacrifices to the different demigods. But here it does say that the living beings' bodies are manifest from food. Food is manifest due to rain. Rainfall ensues from the performance of sacrifice, and action is the cause of sacrifice. So I remember one walk I was on a walk with Srila Prabhupada, and he was in Vrindavan, and he was joking. So someone said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, in this temple, they only eat Ekadasi preparations every day." And Srila Prabhupada said, you could tell he was joking, but a lot of people couldn't tell he was joking. He said, "Oh, advancement." And then they said, "Advancement, Srila Prabhupada?" And he said, "Yes." And they said, "But it says that all living entities subsist on food grains, and food grains, because it..." Here, let's see this verse. It says, where is the verse? 14. Anad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anasambhava yagyad bhavati parjanyo yagya karma samudbhava. So that's 14, and it says, the living bodies are manifest from food. Food is manifest due to rain. Rainfall ensues from the performance of sacrifice, and action is the cause of sacrifice. But the verse is actually using the word anat, from food, and it says transformed into semen and blood. And as you may recall, when we're taking prasadam, we always say, Sharirava Vidyajo Jonanjaya Taiko Jivifelia Vishya Sagare Tarmadye Jiviyati Loba Moy Sadurmati Takijata Kantina Samsare Krishna Boradoy Moy Kori Bora Jiva Joy Swaprashad Ani De Lobai Shanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagal Premidako Chaitanya Nitai. So Ani De Lobai. So Ana is referring to grains. It's referring to rice specifically. So this verse has been translated. It says, Anad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anasambhava yagyad bhavati parjanyo yagya karma samudbhava. So then Prabhupada, when someone said, these devotees only take Ekadasi preparations every day. Then he said, oh, advancement. And then he said, when someone said, but it says all living entities subsist on food grains, and food grains are produced by rain, and rain is coming from sacrifice. Then Prabhupada says, yes, but he said only animals need to eat food grains. And then when they said this verse that all living entities subsist on food grains, and food grains are coming from rain, and rain is produced by sacrifice, they said, well, it says the Gita that all living entities subsist on food grains. And then Srila Prabhupada said, he said, that is for animals, that is for those who are passing semen. So that was his comment. But it was obviously, and everybody was, oh, Prabhupada said something new. But they could not tell he was just joking. Then when he got to the particular temple where the persons were from, they said, oh, when he got there, they said, oh, Srila Prabhupada, these persons only take Ekadasi preparations every day. And he said, oh, why is that? And then they said, but Srila Prabhupada, you said only animals need to eat food grains. And then he said, I eat food grains. Do I look like an animal? But anyway, these verses are talking about that you cannot get the necessities of your life without having some relationship with the higher realities of the environment. Even if it's, you may say that when one becomes a devotee, he's not dependent on the demigods, he's not depending on the ancestors, not dependent on anything. I bid all these farewell. But if you're not on the path of devotion, you have an obligation to exist harmonious. You can't just live like a thief, taking all the recourses of the material nature, and you're not dependent on anyone. But this is the modern thought. People are thinking, generally we see, that they'll say that all my success in life is due to my own honest endeavor, that I work hard and I get the success out of life. And then you say, but what about your failures? Oh, that's just due to bad luck. But they take credit for everything that goes good, and everything that goes bad is just bad fortune. But here we're understanding from the Bhagavad Gita that you can't just rob the recourses of the material nature without any relationship of dependency with them. But we'll say, all right, we see a higher way, and that comes out in the lifting of Govardhan Hill, because it starts out with Nanda Maharaj saying he's preparing for the Indra Yagya, offering to the demigods, and then Krishna, as an innocent boy, he says, oh, Father, what are you doing? Oh, we're preparing a worship for Indra, because we as cowherd persons, we live sometimes a nomadic existence. We go from one place to another so that the cows will always have fresh grass and fresh pasture. So we're going from one place to another, and we give thanks to Indra for providing us with the necessities of nature. And then Krishna speaks a little bit like a karma mimamsa, or you might say like an atheist, and he says, what does Indra have to do with any of this? Person works hard, and as a result of one's hard work, one gets the results. If one does not work hard, it won't get results. So what does Indra have to do with this? And then Krishna's the boy. He wants to get Indra angry. And he says, better we actually employ all this in the worship of Govardhan, because Govardhan is actually supplying us with nice grasses and nice vegetables and places for all the necessities and minerals and food and all these things that we need for our subsistence we get from Govardhan. So we would be better off worshiping Govardhan than worshiping Indra. What does Indra have to do with all this? So then Nanda Maharaj says, well, okay, later, but right now, no time. And no, actually, he says, we'll do that afterwards. And then Krishna says, no, there's no time afterwards. We already have everything ready. All the sacrificial ingredients are here, so let's just start with the worship of Govardhan. So they say, okay, we'll do that. And then, of course, Indra gets very, very angry, and he sends devastating rainfall over Vrindavan. And then Krishna lifts Govardhan Hill. But this is the idea. People were thinking that we must perform sacrifice. We must worship the demigods in order for us to subsist. So they do recognize, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said, proper adjustment. What is it? Proper adjustment with the environment. Religion means proper adjustment with the environment. So this is part of the environment, to see that we're not just depending on our own labor, but we are actually indebted to so many other living entities, which includes the demigods, for our benefits. But then Krishna, in that Govardhan Leela, he produces a higher consideration. And this is referred to here where it says, in this footnote, the remnants referred to here are not the same as Krishna Prasad, food that has been offered to the Supreme Lord by his devotees, but this is just, it says offerings of sacrifice to the demigods. But that in itself is incomplete, because the word sacrifice, there's a phrase, yagya vai Vishnu. Sacrifice is meant for the satisfaction of the Lord, not just the demigods. Yagyartat karmano nyatra loko yam karma bandhana tadartam karma konteya sada tadbhava bhavita. That actually all sacrifice is meant for worshiping Krishna. So anyway, here it's mentioned, the living beings' bodies are manifest from food. Food is manifest, and this Anna refers to grains. For actually that verse, Sharira Vidyajal Joni, we don't say that on Ekadasi, because it says Ani de Lobai. We were always told that verse is not said on Ekadasi, but okay. So we go on to the next verse. I just remember that relationship, because it was actually this verse that someone was quoting. Oh, but it says all living entities subsist on food grains. Food grains are produced by rains, and rain is the result of sacrifice. That's why we also see that when sometimes when devotees will do a fire sacrifice, like for second initiation or something, and then it rains. So, oh, very good. They're thinking that's an auspicious sign. Well, it is. Karma brahmodbhavam vidi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yagye pratishtitam. Action is prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas originate in Akshara, the imperishable. Therefore, the all-pervading, imperishable Lord is ever present within the acts of sacrifice offered to him. So, okay, this conception exists, and we see sometimes that these sacrifices can go awry. We remember the incidents of the Daksha Yajna, where Daksha had some feud with Lord Shiva and didn't include him in the yajna, and Sati was Lord Shiva's wife, and she was Daksha's daughter. And Lord Shiva warned her, don't go to this sacrifice, it won't go good for you. But she insisted on going to the sacrifice, and when she got there, she saw although all the demigods were being worshipped, there was no offering for Lord Shiva. And her own father was not very nice to her, and then she meditated and burnt up her body in fire. And then Lord Shiva became angry. And as a result of that, we can say, literally, that Daksha lost his head. He lost his head. They had like a little guillotine for offering animals. And then Lord Shiva's companions, who are called boots, they cut off Yajna's head, but then so that Daksha wouldn't die, they put a goat's head on him. Anyway, I guess it was a sacrifice that didn't go so well. I'm going to go on with verse number 16. But sometimes, ultimately we see that the devotees understand that the real principle of sacrifice is, as it said, you should be putting water on the root of the tree, not on all the leaves and branches. There may be prescriptions according to different scriptures, and in the Bhagavad Gita there may be reference to some of these rites of worshiping the different demigods, etc. But that is not the highest consideration. They may be approached for, offered something because they are administrators of the Lord, and so they are given some respect. But the highest principle will be to worship the Lord. Then one is under no obligation to worship the forefathers, the demigods, or anything. Not that we're saying that the demigods shouldn't be respected, but this is the higher principle that devotees act upon. Okay. Action is prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas originate in Akshara, the imperishable. Therefore, the all-pervading imperishable Lord is ever present within the acts of sacrifice offered to him. And evam pravartitam chakram nanuvarta yatiyaya agayur indriya ramo mogam parta sanjivati. O Arjuna, one who does not respect the natural causal cycle leads a life of sin, enjoying the senses in vain. So one is supposed to at least have something beyond just an egocentric vision of so-called reality. It's not that, what's the people used to have a geocentric vision of the universe. They thought all the stars and all the planets revolve around the Earth. And then with more advancement in astronomy, etc., then they developed a heliocentric idea that the planets revolve around the sun. So that's all right, but we see people in general, they have an egocentric vision of reality. They think everything revolves around them, that they're at the center. That's egocentric, right? They're at the center, their ego, and everything is revolving around them. So now we have a different reality. People are under lockdown for this virus, right? Coronavirus. All right. So now those persons with an egocentric vision of reality, they're in for a wake-up call, you might say. Yeah. This may not, your vision of reality may be a little outdated. Okay, and always trying to be cheerful. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvarta yatiyaya agayor indriya ramo mogam partha sajivati. O Arjuna, one who does not respect the natural causal cycle leads a life of sin, enjoying the senses in vain. So, this is 16. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvarta yatiyaya agayor indriya ramo mogam partha sajivati. Arjuna, one who does not respect this natural causal cycle, leads a life of sin, enjoying the senses in vain. So, yas tvatma ratir eva shad atma triptas cha manava atmani yeva cha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate. Yet there is no duty Yet there is no duty to fulfill for the realized person who delights within the self, being fully satisfied within. His only worldly action or karma is as required for his subsistence. Yet there is no duty to fulfill for the realized person who delights within the self, being fully satisfied within. His only worldly action or karma is required for his subsistence. So we heard some expression to this effect. We heard simple living and high thinking, about how one is not supposed to be trying to steal or take unnecessarily from the resources of the material nature, but to take only what is one's due allotment in life. That should be the consideration. There's that verse from Ishopanishad, which we learned when we first came to the mission. Ishovasham idam sarvam yat kinchit jagat jam jagat. Chena chakkena punjita madgrida. I forget the last part. Madgrida tashyasvedga. Anyway, Ishavasham. One's supposed to live as a God-centered existence. One is not supposed to be always trying to take from the material nature without giving in return. It's like someone who runs up a big bill without being able to pay for it. You know, that person goes, for instance, into a vegetarian restaurant and then proceeds to run up the bill, eating all kinds of things, many different things. I remember when I first came to India, I was in Mumbai, then called Bombay, and we would go out collecting all day, and we didn't have time to go back to the temple for lunch. So, correct or not, I used to go to one Marwari place that for 2 or 3 rupees, it may have been 2 rupees, but I believe it was 3 rupees, they would give you rice, dal, vegetable, chapatis, sweet rice, and I don't remember what else, but it was a thali. And you could have, and I think they gave you a yogurt also, but you could have seconds of anything except for I believe it was milk products, the sweet rice and maybe the yogurt. But you could have seconds of anything else. And it was called a thali. Thali means a plate, metal plate full. And you could have seconds on anything, and it cost you 3 rupees, which was for the meal, which was 40 cents. So what was I referring to before that? I say people would, running up the bill. But 3 rupees was not running up the bill. That was okay. But if you went to a restaurant and just started ordering, as some of the devotees are very fond of cheesecake and other things of that, then the bill could go up very quickly. So, of course, when it comes time to pay the bill, then you may be in for some shock. If you are just, enjoying the meal, but you didn't have any money, then of course you'd be in difficulty. But that's what's happening to people. They're stealing, we could say borrowing, with quotes around it, borrowing or stealing from the material nature, but they don't have the recourses to pay for that. You're supposed to be giving back to the material nature. The least you could do here is offering some can you say, some sacrifice, expressing some indebtedness to the higher person, the higher balance of the material nature. Of course, as is mentioned here, yet there is no duty to fulfill for the realized person who delights within the self, being fully satisfied within. His only worldly action or karma is as required for his subsistence. So that person is in harmony with the material nature, and that was what Srila Sridhar Maharaj said. Proper adjustment with the environment. That was his expression. So that's what's being discussed here. Naiva tasya kriten arto na kriten neha kaschana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kaschid arta vyapashraya. In the world, one neither gains by action nor loses by inaction. One does not depend on any other being from Lord Brahma down to the simplest life form for any purpose. So when you start depending on others, then you're always looking to take some benefit from others, then that's a burden. One should be able to, as a devotee, of course, we can approach others, we can ask for help from others, but it is always meant to be given to the spiritual master and to the Lord, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj expresses. And he said this was a formula of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says, all kanak, or wealth, is meant for Narayan, who is the husband of the goddess of fortune. Because we see that, like the demons, they, like Ravana, they want to enjoy the benefits of Lakshmi. Sometimes the devotees will refer to money as Lakshmi, but you can understand the point. They want to enjoy Lakshmi without Narayan, or Sita without Rama. Like that's the mentality of Ravana. So that doesn't work. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, this you have to learn. All kanak, or all wealth, is meant for Narayan. And all kamani, all enjoyment, is meant for Krishna. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Even there's some very philosophical explanation by Srila Sridhar Maharaj about the meaning of ekadasi, when we give up something of our enjoying tendency to supply more enjoyment for Krishna. And then Guru Maharaj explains about that, how Krishna's on those days we should give up something of our enjoying nature to increase Krishna's enjoyment. Anyway, and it gives an expression why, etc. But all kanak is for Narayan, all kamani is meant for Krishna, especially the enjoyment between man and woman. And all pratishta is meant, all fame is meant for Gurudev. And then, or we can say Gurudev or Baladev, like that, if we consider but Gurudev or Baladev, non-different from Nityananda. So then Guru Maharaj explains that we are like retailers, and everything that we get, we're taking from the warehouse, from the wholesaler, which is Gurudev. The holy name, preaching, everything is coming from Gurudev, and we're just doing small business with the recourses that he gives us. So then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explained, these are lessons that should be learned. He said, it will be, for many, it will be, Guru Maharaj uses the term, a hard nut to crack. That all kanak is meant for Narayan, all kamani is meant for Krishna, and all pratishta is meant for Gurudev. So in the world where, let's see, in the world one neither gains by action nor loses by inaction. One does not depend on any other living being, from Lord Brahma down to the simplest life form, for any purpose. So we're not trying to exploit the resources of nature. Tasmad asakta sadatam karyam karma samachara asakto I acharan karma param apnoti purusha. So perform your prescribed duties without attachment. By selflessly executing one's duties, a person attains liberation. True liberation is a state of pure devotion, attained in the maturity of selfless action. Karmanaiva I samsiddhim astita janakadaya loka sangrahanam Loka sangraham evapi sampashyan kartum arasi karmanaiva I samsiddhim astita janakadaya loka sangraham evapi sampashyan kartum arhasi. King Janaka and other learned personalities succeeded in attaining devotion through the execution of their prescribed duties. So it is fitting that you fulfill your duty in consideration of the welfare of the people. So here Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, then one has some duties to perform. One can't just live at the cost of everyone else and of the nature. Then your position is a Kshatriya. You have some duties, some obligation to perform. King Janaka and other learned personalities succeeded in attaining devotion through the execution of their prescribed duties. So it is fitting that you fulfill your duty in consideration of the welfare of the people. So, good point. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tattad evetaro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tattad evetaro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. The masses follow the ways of great men, following the standards they set. The masses follow the ways of great men, following the standards they set. So sometimes we hear the expression, do as I say, not as I do. But that will not be a very good way of leading, if just by words, but not by one's actions. So, therefore, we can also say that when Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, Manmana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. That you're to worship the Lord, bow down to Him, offer everything to the Lord. Then But Krishna is saying that. But he is the Lord, so it's hard for him to set an example. But as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he shows us the example of the teacher, of the perfect devotee, of the acharya. Then he does put into practice this advice. The masses follow the ways of great men, following the standards they set. So example is the best precept. That by your own example, you'll teach others. That's hard to do. That's very hard to do, to teach by example. And therefore, there's a conversation between Sanatana Goswami and Haridas Thakur. And Sanatana Goswami glorifies Haridas Thakur, and he says that some persons, he uses two words. One is achar, and the other word is prachar. And achar means by example, and prachar means preaching. So Sanatana Goswami says to Haridas Thakur, some persons preach, but they don't act properly. And other persons act very properly, but they don't preach. But you do both. You preach the glories of the holy name, and you show also by your example that you are completely dedicated to the chanting of the holy name. So you show by example and by your preaching and also by your own personal example. Then Sanatana Goswami says, therefore you are the spiritual master of the whole world. So that is here understood. Masses follow the ways of great men, following the standards they set. Then, Name partasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam varta eva chakarmani. O Arjuna, I have no duty in the three worlds. I lack nothing, and there is nothing to be attained by me, and yet I myself am active. O Arjuna, Krishna is speaking, I have no duty in the three worlds. I lack nothing, and there is nothing to be attained by me, and yet I myself am active. Then, Yadi Yaham Vartayam Jatu Karmani Atandrita Mama Vartmanu Vartante Manusha Partha Sarvasha. O Arjuna, if ever I do not engage attentively in duties, then all men, following my example, will give up their duties. Utsirayor imme loka nakaryam karma chedaham. Utsirayor imme loka nakuryam karma chedaham. Sankarasya cha karta sham upahanyam ima praja. If I do not engage in duty, the people of these worlds will renounce their duties and fall to ruination. Thus, I will be responsible for their downfall caused by adulterated progeny. So, this means if I do not engage in duty, the people of these worlds will renounce their duties and fall to ruination. Thus, I will be responsible for their downfall caused by adulterated progeny. By producing so many, they'll act irresponsibly and produce so many unwanted children, and this will be the cause of some, disturbance in this world. So Krishna is saying, O Arjuna, I have no duty in the three worlds, I lack nothing, and there is nothing to be attained by me, and yet I myself am active. I don't have to be active. There's nothing I have to achieve. I'm not in want of anything. But, O Arjuna, if ever I do not engage attentively in duties, then all men, following my example, give up their duties. If I do not engage in duty, the people of these worlds will renounce their duties and fall to ruination. Thus I will be responsible for their downfall caused by adulterated progeny. Then, Shakta karmani avidvamso yata kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tata shaktas chikir shur loka sangraham sakta karmani avidvamso yata kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tata saktas chikir shur loka sangraham. O Arjuna, as ignorant persons work with attachment, the wise too must work, but without attachment, in order to guide the general people who exist in the plane of worldly action. They differ not in their work, but in their attitudes of attachment and detachment. So we'll also see that on the plane of devotion. Well, they devote from an apparent external viewpoint, devotees and materialists are acting the same. They're working, the materialists working, the devotees are working, the materialist is eating, the devotees are also eating. But there is a difference. There is a difference. They differ not in their work, but in their attitudes of attachment and detachment. The devotee is offering everything to the Lord. Not only the fruits of his actions, this chapter is dealing with karma yoga, but he's not offering just the fruits of his actions, but he's offering everything. The actions themselves, the actions, his intelligence, his mind, his whole consciousness is being offered to the Lord. So there's a big difference. Apparently, from an external viewpoint, you can say that, they're both doing the same thing. They're both acting the same. Both are working, but the devotee is working selflessly. He's not bound to the fruits of his actions. And they're both eating, but the devotee is offering everything to the Lord and receiving the mercy from the higher plane, from the Lord and his devotees. So there's a difference in consciousness. So let's see. Na buddhi bedam janayad agyanam karma sanginam yojayat sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. The scripturally learned teacher should not create confusion in the minds of ignorant attached men by apparently advocating the neglect of duty for the cultivation of knowledge. Rather, he should set the example of selflessness in fulfilling duties, thus encouraging the ignorant in the pursuance of their prescribed duties. The scripturally learned teacher should not create confusion in the minds of ignorant attached men by apparently advocating the neglect of duty for the cultivation of knowledge. Rather, he should set the example of selflessness in fulfilling duties, thus encouraging the ignorant in the performance of their prescribed duties. So at the very beginning, we remember that Arjuna is posing some interesting questions. He says, Janardan, Arjuna said, O Janardan, O Keshava, if you consider wisdom superior to action, why then do you urge me to engage in the violence of warfare? I am confused by your words. They appear to be ambiguous, sometimes supporting action and sometimes supporting wisdom. So please tell me which is the most beneficial path for me to take. Now here, there's actually some very pertinent answer. Part of the whole chapter is going on from that point, but here it says, the scripturally learned teacher should not create confusion in the minds of ignorant attached men by apparently advocating the neglect of duty for the cultivation of knowledge. Rather, he should set the example of selflessness in fulfilling duties, thus encouraging the ignorant in the performance of their prescribed duties. That's a good answer to Arjuna's original question. So now I'll read one more verse here. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. All actions in the world are in every respect affected by the modes of material nature, which impel the senses. But a man deluded by bodily identification thinks, I alone am accomplishing this work. So the ignorant person is thinking, ahankara vimudatma, one who's deluded by bodily ego, manyate iti, thinks thus, aham karta, I am the doer. I'm the doer. Everything's happening because of me. I'm the doer. Doesn't recognize any other service to the Lord, the actions of the material nature, how one is not to be attached to the fruits of one's labor. Cannot understand that. Just on the ahankara vimudatma. Due to false ego, ahankara vimudatma, the ahankara is the false ego, vimudatma, is deluded. Ahankara vimudatma, kartaham iti manyate. He is thinking that kartaham, I'm the doer. I'm the doer. Now, I remember one story I heard in that respect, I believe from Guru Maharaj. He said, one man, he had this beautiful garden with so many flowers and plants and trees, and it was all very, very beautifully arranged. Then one time, a cow came into that garden and was eating there, and the man killed the cow. So then Yamaraj, he sent someone there and challenged that man for his killing the cow, and then that man said, I didn't do this, he said. He said, not a blade of grass, not a leaf moves without the sanction of the Lord. So how am I responsible? I'm not the doer. This is all done by the arrangement of higher sanction. It's by the Lord's arrangement. So then the agent came back to Yamaraj and said, well, he said this, I'm not the doer, everything's happening by the will of the Lord. And then Yamaraj said, yes, that's true, but he's not of that realization. He's saying that, but that's not his understanding, that's not his realization. So then Yamaraj came there, disguised as a small boy. Yamaraj came there and said, oh, it's so beautiful here. What a beautiful garden. He said, who planted the garden? The man said, I did. I planted this garden. Oh, really? And how about all these beautiful trees and the flowers and fruit and everything? Whose arrangement is this? The man said, it's my arrangement. I did everything. Everything that you see is by my arrangement. He says, oh, really? And what about, this whole orderly arrangement and everything, the past, the structures, everything? Who did that? Oh, I did that. I did everything. And then Yamaraj said, oh, you did everything? Yes, I did everything. It's all because of me. everything that you see. And then Yamaraj said, oh, and who killed the cow? So, that was just an illustration of everyone's thinking, kartaham, prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartam iti manyate. All actions in the world are in every respect affected by the modes of material nature, which impel the senses. Sense objects meeting with the objects of the senses. But a man deluded by bodily identification thinks, I alone am accomplishing this work. So then one will get the reaction for doing wrong under that delusion. And what will be the result? I remember one devotee in Mexico, her name was Malini. She said, for one who lives in illusion, that person will die of disillusionment. You know what it means to be disillusioned. One becomes very disillusioned. But that is a result. Actually, disillusion and illusion, they're both the same. One is living in illusion, and then one, somehow or other, one's illusion leads one into some sense of false security, and then one dies of disillusionment. I don't know if some little shaft of light enters into their darkness of illusion, but somehow or other, when they maybe partially wake up to reality or something, that they're not the doer, then they die of disillusionment. That's the meaning. It's a Spanish saying, para alguien que vive de la ilusión, se muere del desengaño. They'll die of disillusionment. Okay, so this is Krishna saying here. We'll just repeat this verse one more time. The translation we can say. Is it 3? Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. All action in the world are in every respect affected by the modes of material nature which impel the senses, but a man deluded by bodily identification thinks, I alone am accomplishing this work. That's not true. That's not true. That's the illusion that persons in this world have. So now we're going to sing Hari Haraya. Of course, we have no kartal players. Huh? You'll play? Okay. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Charavaya Nama.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama.
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama.
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan.
Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan.
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra.
Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra.
Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raguna.
Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raguna.
Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna.
Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta
Jai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jai Te Vignana Shabista Puran Jai Gosai Jar Mui Tarana Tasabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras Sadir Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame Janame More Abilas Chai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilaban Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriya Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajaka Ashtatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajaka Ashtatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Sunanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchinananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Se Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavaranya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya
Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Shri Navadip Dham ki jai, Shri Dham Mayapur ki jai, Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Saparshada Shri Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Koladvip ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai, Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram ki jai, Ganga Devi ki jai, Tulasi Madharani ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna, Go Gopi Govardhan, Sham Kunda Radhakunda Kulindi Munaju ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Om Vishnu Pad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki Jai.